Recording. There you go.
Welcome to the IIBA Tampa Bay, Florida chapter. This is our study group. We are in the last part of March 2024. This is our 114th class. Today we have an interview with Leanne Tsang. She is now a CBAP and she wants to talk about her CBAP experience. Last week we had an international panel. I want to once again thank those folks for joining us. It was a very enlightening conversation. If you missed it, it's on YouTube for us all to be able to reference. Our mission here with the Florida chapter is we're helping everybody. We don't care if you're in Florida, if Timbuktu, other side of the world, if you are here for us and we are here for you. We want you to go ahead and join our chapter if we give you benefit, and we'll do what we can to help you. We've given you a variety of ways to reach us here. This is our Thursday evening study group that we have every week from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, USA. We also have LinkedIn, Meetup, Zoom. We have study group materials on a Google Drive, lots of good stuff there. And we have our meeting recordings on YouTube. We also have our IIBA website. Watermark Learning has given us a discount code as Tampa-21, 20% off of all their products. If you are interested, you can go check them out. They have business analysis, project management, and a couple of other topics, flashcards, classes, lots of good stuff there. So check them out and see what you think. We are a volunteer-led organization. Our board member is Cliff Gray, and he's our president. Our vice president of finance is Yulia. We also have board members at large, Uche, Vivian, Esther, and Alicia. My name is Thea Soren. I'm the Vice President of Career and Professional Development for our chapter. It's my job to help you. If you need use cases reviewed, user stories, if you want to understand more about a stakeholder analysis, whatever you need, it's my job to help you. So reach out to me through LinkedIn. We are interested in a couple more board members. If you're interested, we could use your existing skills or maybe help you develop some new skills. We're not going to ask for a whole lot of your time, no more than you want to give, and just reach out to me through LinkedIn. Our study group advisors are Bob Churchill, Yulia, and Uche. They have each earned their CBAP certification, and they are here to be able to, because them being here gives you the ability to get an hour of study credit for the IIBA, so that whenever you go to apply for your certification, they have a certain amount of study credit that you have to be able to say that you did. We'll help you validate that you got enough, but this is what it's there for. And thank you for Bob for showing up. I'm not sure if the other two showed up today. We like to celebrate our wins. These folks have said to us that because they participated in our study group, that it was beneficial to them and that they were able to pass their certifications. We are thrilled. This is what we're here for. We don't charge money for our study groups. We don't charge money for anything we do. But you telling us that we were beneficial, it's gold for us. So reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then I can share it with the rest of the board. Our certifications that we focus on are the top three: the ECBA, the CCBA, and the CBAP. These are the three coming out of the BABOK, the Business Analysis Book of Knowledge. There are 4 other certifications that you can work on after you earn your CBAP. If you are interested in any of these or have questions, reach out to me. Today, our interview is with Leanne. She wants to talk about her experience in studying for and passing her CBAP certification and the impact on her work. She also wants to talk a little bit about her current job and her past work experience. Next week, we have Katya. Ms. Plummer is going to come talk to us about organizations and how to manage information. She is working in professional structure, yes? And she's going to come give us more information about organizing our information. The week after that, April 18th, Hugo is going to come talk to us about nearshore development. Nearshore development is development usually in South America. Hugo is specifically focused on South America, and it's a little bit different because they don't have the time zone issues you do with offshore in, say, India, but they also have they also have a little bit easier time communicating in some areas. So he's going to come talk to us about that and give us some more information. I will now turn over the screen to our guest speaker and let you have it. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. This is Leanne. Nice to see you all. Rob and Cliff, Beard, and everyone else. And shall I share my screen?
If you have something to share, go ahead. It's all yours.
Thank you, dear. Wait, you see my screen, right?
I can see 3 slides.
Sure.
There we go.
Good now. I'm Leanne's son. I'm stationed in Toronto. Now I'm working in a nonprofit organization in Toronto. And what I'm doing is I'm a business analyst and I worked on the vendor management. Oh, sorry, is it the first screen? I think it's not the first screen, sorry.
Okay.
What happened? It's not the first screen. Yeah, sorry.
That's quite all right.
Yeah.
If you did it perfectly, I would look so bad. So thank you.
I did the CBAP examination in mid-February 15th, and I didn't do it online. I went to the examination center, and it's my first goal, and I did it. So
Yay.
Tell you a little bit my background. Yes, I'm a business analyst. I'm working for a nonprofit organization in Toronto now. And what I've been doing for them, I spent 3 months on vendor management because the organization I'm working on, they need a new workflow system because the current system they're using is a legacy one, it's a spreadsheet intensive one that they really need an automated workflow system to help them for the collaborations, the team's collaborations, better for the case management for their clients. And that's why they need a new vendor for case management system. And I spent 3 months to do the research and source the vendors and based the requirements, we negotiate with them and get the right candidates and obtain the price, the quotation and SOW. If you're familiar with the vendor management, you know what I'm talking about. And the organization I'm working is a small size, so it's not a very big project for the vendor management. We don't have our what do we call it ever with request for tender. Those things we don't need it. And after then, now is the project has been started and we do requirement analysis and we do the design, process map, user stories. So those all business analysis techniques we use. The essential ones that can help us to elicit the user requirements and then fit in for the vendor to help us to implement it. So now it's still ongoing, the project. And before I become a business analyst, I've got 10 years of software development in various industries, in R&D divisions, and some innovative projects like smartphone on Palm OS and voice over IP. And over those 10 years, 4 years is overlapped, transitioning to software change management and IT asset management. And at that point, I hadn't realized actually what I was doing is part of business analysis, even though it seems it's not. I did the project management, but actually I was doing the requirement analysis. I implemented a new process for the team in our local in the local town back in my hometown where I was in Hong Kong when I was in Hong Kong. So sorry, Alexa, stop. Yes, I had my CBAP exam in February and I didn't do it online, but there are two options. I prepared, I did some preparations because it's better you can have a site visit so that you know the check-in procedures, because I heard that for some centers, they may need more than one identification proofs. But at that point, when I did my site visit, they only requires only one identification document. And how many of you have already got your CBAP, or would you raise your hand if you are preparing to do your CBAP exam in the near future, like within 6 months? Feel free to talk. Anyone is planning?
I see at least
We've got quite a
three.
few.
Okay. Okay. And so are you anyone planning to do online? To do it online?
I
Maybe,
honestly have not checked to see if I've got a center near me.
sorry, someone's on mute, someone want to talk, but it's on mute.
I don't know that I have a center near me, so I may not have an option.
Oh, I see. And I really I've done some preparation. I did the site visit over a week ago, and I even talked to the receptionist, the check-in procedures, all the logistics, so that I will feel more secured. And for the in-person examinations, you can take it in the morning or in the afternoon. And for me, for my examination center, the examination room, it can have up to 5 test attendants. And at the point I had my examinations, I'm the only one who's in that room, because I think on that afternoon, there are not many candidates to take the take the test, so they can allocate us in only one room with only one persons. But later there's one attendance to join me, and they just stay for 1 hour or two. And they gave me earplugs in case I find, oh, I'm not happy with the noises. But I find it's good, not very noisy, but it depends. It depends the other attendants whether they may make noise, but it's good. And I was giving a few pieces of blank papers and a pencil, and that's it. Okay. So for the examinations, what I used to prepare it, I spent 6 months to prepare for the CBAP exam, and I took a foundation course, business analysis foundation course, and then I just focused on doing the watermark simulation questions. I didn't take any other courses. No, I didn't take the adaptive organizations course. And I find the questions are not easy at all. As similar to watermark simulations, the format is similar, but you will find it's more difficult. It's really testing your working experience, BA working experience, and it's testing the dynamic application of our business analysis skills to various industry scenarios or business cases to deal with the following three elements. Oh, sorry, let's see. Technology, people, and process. And you will see the questions I find, even though the curriculum does not require you to be very, very familiar with chapter 9 and chapter 10 in BABOK, which means the BA competencies and the techniques. But I would say many questions are actually testings about the techniques, and later I will talk about it. So what I've learned is it's really testing our BA experience, how to deal with technology, people, and process. I'm not sure you how much time you spend on doing the watermark simulations is very useful, and you find there are certain percentage of the questions are very fundamental questions, talking about, for example, those 30 tasks in those 6 knowledge core areas, and they will ask you, I mean, I'm talking about watermark simulation. They will ask you some fundamental questions, for example, oh, after you verify the requirements, and what do you do next? These fundamental, straightforward questions, you will not find in CBAP exam, in your real examinations. I think almost all are application or business case questions, scenario questions, even though, or maybe later I was talk about it. And in the first, perhaps, I think 40% of the questions are 1 page plus, maybe they stand to 2 pages, scenario business case questions. The percentage is similar to watermark simulation. And for each scenario, there are 3 to 5 questions, but it's really long. And for the rest of the questions, even though they are not scenario questions or not business case questions, but they are mini scenarios. Each mini scenario question has each mini scenario has only 1 question, but it takes time to read and analyze. So I would say time management is very important when you do the CBAP exam. And for the user interface, it's different from the watermark simulation. And you will see the time remaining shown in the corner of the screen, and you can navigate those 120 questions, but it takes a little while for you to get familiar with it, but I don't think it would be a very big problem. But I must say the user interface is different. So you better quickly spend a little bit of time to familiarize yourself with the user interface and quickly do the questions. I joined the CBAP experience, examination experience few months ago by another person who attend Tampa Bay study groups, he shared that there business case questions that is really, really long and a lot of calculations or financial analysis questions. And for my case, it's also true. And here, I don't know how to remove this. Yes, good. For me, remember the feeling when you first do when it's the first time or the second time you do the watermark simulation question. Do you remember it? For me, the first time I did watermark simulations, I got less than 50% or even 40% correct. And at that point, I was not confident, of course, for my selected answers. And I kept studying and do it again and again. And when it's near to my real examination, I've got over 90% correct in watermark. I didn't remember the answers. I really look at the explanation of the model answers, why the answer is correct and why the other three questions are not correct. And then I did refer to BABOK and study the BABOK. And after I got 90% correct in watermark, when I had my CBAP examination, I still had the same feeling that, oh, just like when I first did the watermark quest simulation, I must say, in the real examinations, there are many questions that you will find, okay, you can eliminate two answers, but for the rest of the two potential answers, you find it would be correct. Sometimes it's really difficult to choose, and I don't know how the marking system of the CBAP real exam. Maybe once and when you are correct, you get 1 mark. On you're not correct, you got 0 mark. Or maybe you get it, you pick the second answer and then you still get like 0.5 mark. I don't know, but I just find many questions. I eliminate the impossible answers, and for the two potential answers, it's really difficult to choose in between which one you will choose. So time management is very important, because if you just you are stuck in only one questions, and later you will find difficult to answer all the questions. Yeah. I just here I would like to share, at the point I did the CBAP exam, I really not sure. The feeling is really not confident. But anyway, I had my exam passed. Okay. Oh, yeah. To prepare well for the CBAP exam, we must I share my experience. I must understand which part of the BABOK I'm strong at, and which part I understand I need to work harder. And based on the simulation practice result, I identified, which chapter or which area I need to work more. I mean, study more and practice more, and go from there to strengthen it. Because CBAP exam expects us to have full understanding of the CBAP. For example, here, of course, I cannot share with you the exact questions I went through, even though I remember it, because I don't think it's good to share in very, very details, because who knows, everyone will receive different set of questions to answer. But I can tell you that these areas are the scope of the questions I came across, like developing business case, financial analysis. It means you will do calculations, and they will give you a calculator on the screen, so you can use the calculator there. So you don't need to calculate manually on a piece of paper. You can use the calculator on screen provided. And vendor management. So I was lucky because for my work, I did the vendor assessment. I did the quotation. I did the quotation analysis. So if you have done watermark simulation, you will find it's a little bit similar. And if you understand well how to do the calculations, you will not find it difficult. But you must be very careful. Sometimes it's just you overlook something and you will get your calculations wrong. So for where is it? For example, when you source a vendor, you will see whether you can buy it off the shelf solution, or you may want a tailored solutions, which includes different components like installation costs and then subscription and 5-year annual operation costs and so on. So I would suggest if you are not familiar with vendor management, you can take a, like, what do we call it? LinkedIn learning course, online LinkedIn learning course to learn about vendor management. The second is the business rule analysis. And for this, it means you must be very familiar with some techniques in chapter 10. So if you got business analysis working experience 5 years or over 5 years, and you will be familiar with different techniques like data modeling, ER diagrams, those things. And watermark simulation is really good. If you're familiar with those simulation questions, you should be able to pass the real exam. And the next is business knowledge. In the real examinations, they will expect you are familiar. In chapter 9, the competencies, that you will know the industry knowledge, you know, the agile and waterfall, the differences. And I must say the questions, I mean, the scenario question or business case questions, the industry it covers is not exact. Of course, it's not exactly the industry you went through, you came across in watermark simulations, but it's those industries are very, very popular. You can imagine which industry covers the most customer segment. For example, banking, and public sector, private sector. So you can imagine what industry you will see, and if you're familiar with the differences, the characteristics in different industry sectors, and you will find confident to do the exam, and it wouldn't be difficult. So I must say, chapter 9 and chapter 10 are very important. And yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, this is the end. I think that's all I would like to share.
Okay, thank you, Leanne.
Uh-huh.
Does anyone have any questions about taking the test? We have somebody going to be taking the test within the next 2 weeks. We have people that are going to be taking it 6 months from now. So is there anybody that wants to ask anything specific?
Oops, sorry.
Leanne, tell us what surprised you most about taking the test.
One point I find it surprised me was the user interface was different from what I practiced using watermark.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little bit, wow, what happened? And you know what? For example, the list of questions are on the bottom, the numbering, the number of questions. You just put your cursor over it, and then you will see, oh, question 1, question 2. And it took me a little bit time to figure out how can I see the questions I've already answered and what questions I haven't answered yet, because I took the advice from the buddy. Few months back, I attend listening to his exams experience, and and Julia. So I chose to skip the scenario questions, and then I went back to do the long lengthy questions, and it took me time to find out which questions I've already answered and which questions I haven't. Of course, you can flag the questions, but flagging the question doesn't mean the question I haven't answered. I just want to go back later to look at the questions that I flagged. But for which questions I answered, which question I haven't answered, it took me some time to find out which is something I was surprised with. So I would suggest you guys to familiarize with the UI, user interface. This is one point, and the second point is, for each question, I found it took me a long time to answer it. And after some questions I finished, I realized I have to be quick to answer the non-zero questions. And I had to go through them quickly. But I'm still because I was confident of what I've already prepared. I was really confident of the knowledge, and based on my working experience, my transferable skills, I'm quite confident to do the questions. So that's why I didn't panic. But I must say, I didn't have good time management, not good enough. So I would advise you to be very aware of using your time for each questions. Do not stay in single question too long, because they will have questions that, oh, it's difficult for you to choose between two possible answers. This is something surprised me too.
Okay, so there's 3.5 hours to to answer all the questions, correct?
I was able to answer all the questions because for the last probably 10 questions, I didn't have time to analyze it and answer it. Um, I just had, for example, 5 minutes for 12 questions to answer. So I quickly went through it, and for some questions, I just randomly answered it. But
Okay,
I passed. And at the end of the exam, I left the center, and then I went back to my car. It took around within 5 minutes, and I checked my email, and I received the result right away. So
okay.
it didn't take long to get the result by email, and the result will show you, will tell you how well you did in each knowledge area. I believe yes, there are 6 knowledge core areas, and the result will tell you how well you did.
So it gives you a breakdown of score or something by knowledge area in the email?
Oh, it's not exact scores you get from each part of the core area, knowledge core areas, but they was comment with a word. It is description. I forgot the description, but just similar to like the kids, they take the
Okay,
you get your scores card, you may exam report
okay,
card. So you will find, you will see whether is you just pass maybe 50% to 70% or 70% to 90%. Some description that is categorized your result into um
okay. Bob,
whether
you have,
Yeah,
Bob, you have a
when
comment?
I took it, what they told you in each area was something like full pass, a little weak, but pass, and then not pass. So those would be your options. I think Yulia had a strong pass in like 5 out of 6 areas and a okay pass in 1. I think I was 4 and 2, but I didn't study as hard as she did.
Okay, very good. So Leanne, let me be sure I understand. You get in there, they give you a couple of pieces of paper and a pencil. You got a calculator on the screen if you need it. Do they give you all the test questions at once, or is it in sections?
not in sessions, just 120 questions in order. So of course you can choose what order you want to answer them.
Okay,
And of course they won't tell you, oh, these questions fall into chapter 3 or chapter 6. No, not at all. But when you do the watermark simulation questions, yes, I would suggest, for example, when I practice the examinations, after I read, this is how I study BABOK, or study how to strategically study how to succeed in the examination. I understand, after I read the questions, I should quickly know actually which knowledge area or which chapter the questions is asking me. Whether it's asking me about the solution evaluation or it's asking me about the elicitation or collaborations, but many of them, actually, they are asking me about the techniques. So really, it's very important, the techniques. But it's the very, very common ones they are asking. It's like watermark simulations. But of course, watermark simulations has over 10,000 questions.
Yes.
Hasn't it? So if you have done all questions in watermark simulations, which means you went through all the techniques, but in the real examination, they ask you the most common ones, for example, use cases, and well, those are very common because
Okay.
I do believe not all the business and analysts are working when in their daily daily work, they do not do the work do not cover all
Okay.
the
Okay.
it's
Leanne Carl wants to know, did you read through the BABOK guide first and then take the questions, or did you take the questions and let it tell you where to study in the BABOK?
For me, I strategically look at the watermark simulation questions and analyze the questions and know how to get what the question is asking me. Understand I must know the keywords. The keywords will give you hint for the answers. And then I look at the answers. I did it correct. And I look at the answers. I did it wrong. And I don't analyze only the model answer. I analyze why the rest of the answers are not correct, and I refer it to BABOK. And then I base on the question and study the BABOK. And
okay,
many of them, you must understand. One point I would like to talk about is the input-output diagram. It's very important if you understand the input and output, and the reason why you need those guidelines and tools, and you understand why you need to take this as input to do the task, and what's the purpose of individual tasks and the relationship between the task in the chapter, and you won't find it difficult to do the examination or even do your daily work, because it's quite straightforward if you understand BABOK, or the best general practice of business analysis. Yeah, and of course, you see, when you study BABOK, it will tell you, for example, for elicitation, the suggested techniques are here, and here, BABOK will explain to you why these techniques are necessary for that particular task or even in that particular chapter.
okay,
And it's not difficult if you've got practical BA experience over 5 years, and you won't find it difficult to answer the difficult to do the CBAP exam, because you are familiar with what, for example, benchmarking and market analysis is and why do you do it. But it's not very the CBAP examination is not very tricky, not as tricky as watermark simulation.
okay.
I'm talking about the techniques.
Yes, yes.
But I repeat again, you won't find the fundamental straightforward questions in the real examination. For example, in watermark simulation, they will ask you what's the input of a particular task, or what are the guideline or tools for a particular task, and what's the sequence. I mean, before this task, which task should you do? And
Right?
seems, as I remember, not so straightforward, even though they may ask the similar questions, but it's not so straightforward like what I see in water simulation. Yeah.
Okay, very good. You mentioned earlier that you needed to be able to weigh to see which questions you had answered. How do you see? Are they color coded or what?
Sorry, pardon?
How do you tell which questions you have answered how do you know which ones you skipped?
Yes.
If I recall
Have a bar.
correctly, you
They have
can flag things.
Yeah, you can flag them to come back to them, but if you don't flag them but just skip them, is there a way to see?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay.
They have a bar. They have a bar showing all the question numbers in order, in a chronological, in the ascending order. But when you navigate them, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, you put your cursor on it, you don't click on it, and then you will see the tips showing, oh, answered or not answered. But the point is, you need to navigate 120 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
uh-huh.
So I want to talk about your strategy. Strategy that you were talking about earlier of identifying the impossible answers is one that we talked about in our study group in the past. And I want to be sure everyone understands that. If you haven't participated in our study group when we actually go through the sample test questions, you look at a question, you look at the 4 answers, and you eliminate the ones that are impossible or that they don't line up with the way the BABOK is written. They use a word that it's not in the BABOK. So you eliminate those. If you can get down to just 2 answers, you have a 50% chance of guessing. And you've already studied, so it's not going to be just a guess. It's going to be an informed decision. But 50% is a whole lot better than 25% whenever you're looking at options. So that's one of the things that we're going to use again when we go through the BABOK test questions. If you're planning on going through the BABOK test questions with us, we start in the middle of this next month. No, I'm sorry, the middle of the month following, in the middle of May. We're going to start the test questions. I encourage you to go through the recordings that we have on YouTube, because for every single chapter, we have at least 4 different study groups we've already gone through. We've already gone through those test questions for that chapter. In solution analysis, I think we have 6, because it's a little bit harder and we didn't do well whenever we tried to go through it the first 2 times. So we went through it again. So we've done it twice, gone through the entire thing twice. This time, when we go through it, we're only going to spend 1 study group per chapter. So it's important that you do your own studying ahead of time so that you can come to the study group that we are answering it together. We're going to have a discussion about why each of the answers, which one is right and why the other ones are wrong. And you know what? We're not always going to be perfect either, but we're going to have the discussion together and we're going to learn from each other. I encourage you that have already passed your CBAP to participate, because we need your knowledge. We need your wisdom and your experience of why certain questions or certain answers are better than others. So that's starting in mid-May, and we want to be sure that we are all prepared. We have several of us that have committed to taking it this year. We're going to take it this year. We've been putting it off. We say it's important, but we got to do it. Let's see, Leanne, I said we didn't in the marking system, they give you 2 possible answers that make it difficult to choose. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Oh, yeah, I honestly, in watermark simulations, it's a little bit similar.
Okay.
You'll find, oh, it seems answer A seems correct, answer B seems also correct. How can I choose? And I don't have the answer. And then just follow your heart. Follow based on your working experience, just choose one. Do not
Okay.
do not be stuck for a long time. This is
Okay.
the best strategy what I said. And by the way, I want to add one more point. I mentioned when you read through the question, especially the business case questions, it's the question is very long, and the question, like watermark simulation scenario questions or business case questions, they will give you loads of information, and you must be a good because you are an analyst, you will have to be able to filter out those informations that's not relevant for the questions you're asked. So I also take the strategy that if the questions are very long, I will read. The scenario paragraphs are long. I will read those 4 questions first. And I go back to the lengthy paragraphs. And of course, when you read through the paragraphs, you need to get the key word, because the keyword, you need to find the keyword that helps you to answer the questions. This is part of the analyst you're supposed to be competing with, and you need to be able to be smart to filter out those irrelevant information. They try to give you loads of information, but then not all the informations are necessary.
Right.
This is something they want to test your skills, the analyst skills, business analysis skills.
Right.
Mhm.
I think reading through the questions and their answers first before you read through the paragraph is a brilliant way to do it.
That's right.
There's a lot of scenario-based questions on the CBAP, isn't there?
Yeah. I honestly spend a lot of time to practice the watermark simulations, and I don't remember the model answer, but I try to analyze why the answer is the model answer, the best answer for the question. And one
Right.
thing I want to add, they will test you how well you can understand the industry. For example, private sector or public sector, in what circumstances you use water for, in what circumstances you understand as a business analyst, I have no choice. I must follow follow the follow the rules or the regulatory body
Yes.
guidance or instructions. So it's all about, for example, choosing between agile or waterfall. Whether you have space to be flexible, or you don't have much space to be flexible. You must 100% to follow the guidance. The regulatory bodies guidance or guided
Right.
documents to do your business analysis activities.
Right. Very good. Well, Leanne, thank you so much. One note I want to give to everybody is if you're studying for the certification based on the BABOK, you've got to read the BABOK enough where you understand the voice of the BABOK. it's going to seem familiar to you whenever you read the answers that line up with it. It's very different than any other certification I've ever had. But Bob, you said that most certifications are like this. You gotta learn the fiction of the study guide so that you can emulate it, but it might not be what you live in real life. Is that correct?
More or less.
Okay, so learn the voice of the BABOK, just like Secret Service agents have to learn what a $100 bill looks like. They have to learn it so much that if they see a counterfeit, they recognize it as that's not right. So learn the BABOK, get ready to take the test. We're going to go through the study group. We're going to support each other, and we're going to show up and show off. Okay, do we have any other questions? Oh, I see another message. Okay, so Leanne, you agree that it's 3.5 hours and that you were able to barely finish?
Yes. I told
Okay.
you, I just randomly picked the answer
Those
in the
last 12.
couple minutes.
Okay, so
Well, it's better not
Watermark,
to leave any answer blank. So
yeah, it's better not to. So Watermark has the practice test questions that we have a subscription to. They've given us a free subscription as our chapter. You can get your own on your own if you wish. Adaptive also has practice test questions, but I understand that you either need to be with a company that will support you, or you need to take an adaptive class, and then they give you access to their test questions. We're talking to them about getting access to their test questions, but it's going to take a fee. We're working on, as a chapter, we're working on getting our incorporation and our bylaws and things like that finished so that we can get access to money so we can do things like this. But we're working on it. If you want to wait for us, okay. If you don't, go ahead and look at what Watermark has. There are some free practice test questions posted online. Just be sure that if you find them, that it's for version 3.0. It's going to do you no good if you find practice test questions for the BABOK for version 2.0. 2.0 is about 1/4 of the size of 3.0 and not the same information at all. We made lots of changes when we wrote 3.0. So even the terms are different. What we put in there is different. I made them split up teaching and learning because it's two totally different things. Things like that. Okay, any last questions for Leanne? Then guys, give her your appreciation. Okay, we will be back here next week to talk about organizing. Katya is going to have information for us. Cliff, did I say that last name? Did I say her first name right?
I believe I called her Katya when she's our former president. So yes.
Former president of the
proper pronunciation of that spelling.
Okay, all right. Well, she's going to be here next week. She is a quite experienced business analyst, and it's going to be good to hear some of her stuff. She's got some things that I don't know as much about as she does. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she has for us. And then the following week, I'm going to be at BBC presenting. I'll be here for our class. We're going to be talking about nearshore development and what does that mean. So we'll see y'all all then, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You were great.
Thank you. Bye.